Gurus, the intellectuals or theories that have been discussing and analyzing media, they tend to be very, very gloomy people. Every time there is a media revolution, they either forecast the end, the death of all previous media, all existing media, or the forecast, which is even worse, the end of society as we know it. Sometimes they even forecast both things. So let's have a look at the previous revolution to see what happened. Just after the war, it was a huge concentration of media. The press was getting bigger, the radio was getting bigger, then came the TV, and with this big concentration of media, it became the concentration of audiences as well. The media became really, really powerful. And of course, the gurus were extremely worried about that. They were worried first. Well, they said, of course, that the previous media were going to die. The cinema was going to die, the theater was going to die, even radio was going to die. And also they were even more worried about the effect of this almighty media in our brains and our liberties. Here we have a quote of the president of Yale University that was saying that with this concentration of the media in a few hands, we will have no competition of ideas, so that could be pretty dangerous. And on the other side, as I was saying before, they were extremely worried about this mass culture emergence that will homogenize our brains, it will control our minds and make us like zombies. Actually, the Italian intellectuals were among the most vocal and pessimist in this sense. And we have here Giovanni Sartori that even invented the concept of the homo videns, which was some sort of evolution, or we should say maybe involution of the Homo sapiens. Was sitting in front of the TV and had lost completely all capacity for abstraction that we were saying before. Probably the peak or the icon of this school of thought was, you probably remember, 1984, the book of George Orwell. Here is the movie. And here in 1984, we had this omnipresent big brother on TV that was controlling its citizens, well, not citizens, its subjects, from every single corner of the country, of the city, the bars, the houses. Well, they even had these communal masses for the indoctrination of the whole world. And well, if we think about it, it's true. Well, the ones that we are old enough, if we think about it, it's true that at the time there were only a couple of TV channels, a couple of radio stations, a bit more papers. So we were definitely reading and listening to and watching almost the same stuff. You probably remember all these posters. Alison was referring before to the Charlie's Angels. It's true that we all saw this stuff, but I wouldn't say that it managed to homogenize our brains. I don't know if you feel like zombies. I don't feel like a zombie myself. And sometimes when seeing it from today, with the crisis we are living in Europe, I would say that I wish it would have homogenized our brains and our minds a little bit more, because we don't behave as an homogeneous mind at all. And of course, the theater or the cinema or the radio didn't disappear at all. So then came the internet. I don't know if you remember this. I do remember. I don't know if you had to suffer this. I did have to suffer this. I connected first time to the internet in 1994, and I had to use one of these devices. Well, it was even worse. This is a modem, and this one is 56K, you see there. Mine was 28.8K, which means that it is more or less 1,000 times slower than any internet connection today. It was a complete nightmare. So even if at the time there were not many web pages, so it was basically other type of pages in internet with text and menus, and it was easier to download these type of pages, but still, it was really, really slow. But still, I was completely thrilled that I was able, with my computer at home in my room, to access all those contents and documents, they were all there for me. And I remember that I was so surprised that they were for me there, waiting for me, that I had, the first days I used to print every single thing that I found interesting because I couldn't believe that they would be there next day. And that was absolutely amazing. That was the beginning of a huge change that Alvin Toffler describes in The Third Wave. He said, instead of being dominated by a few mass media, third wave civilization will rest of interactive, demassified media, feeding extremely diverse and often highly personalized imagery into and out of the mainstream of the society. But wait, 1980? But this guy is definitely a visionary because this was before the internet. I mean, internet was there, but there was no web. So it was basically just a network that connected some people in the army in the United States and some universities. So that was all. But further in the book, we can see that he was referring to new printing presses, some small printing presses that people could use for printing things for their communities. He also refers to some new vertical channels that had been created in the United States. But apart from the joke, what is, I think, very relevant, this guy, Toffler, could see that a huge revolution was coming. It was this eagerness of the people to choose the contents they wanted instead of kind of just eating the single menu of the mass media. So that was definitely the end of the mass media monopoly. It was the beginning of what we call now the long tail. So we can choose every content we wanted. We could have our own a la carte menu in a way. It was the end of this supposed homogenization of our brains and that scary control of our minds. But the gurus were not happy. They were not happy, but they were definitely worried again. They said that this internet was going to kill all the previous media, so from press to TV, everything would disappear, and it was again the end of society. And now we have another great Italian, Umberto Eco. He said that this mass culture created by the mass media was the very foundation of society. And so if we break the mass media, if the mass media or the mass culture disappear, then the society will disappear. We have here these theorists, these English theorists, Karen and Seaton. They said as well that the public sphere will break in sphericles where each of us would live alone and isolated and wouldn't share anything with anyone. And that was wrong again, because from the very beginning of the internet, we were using the internet for sharing, precisely for sharing. In the beginning, it was these old chats and the old forums, and now we have huge tools like Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or Pinterest and all the rest. And you can see the mind-blogging numbers that they are getting. People were eager for sharing from the very beginning, and they are using these social networks massively. As for the end of the previous media, it is true that on the one hand, the people is using massively video online, for example, for choosing every single time the content, the program they want to see, with the device they want to use, and at the time they want to watch it. But even that, the time, the hours spent in front of a TV have been growing over the last years, even in very, very mature markets like the States. So the people is using more and more these online video contents. They are accessing the content they like, but they are still staying in front of the TV more than ever. And they also watching TV, linear TV, on the internet. I had my experience in the public broadcaster, as Nicoleta was referring to. I remember when I was called in 2007 to kind of create a whole new digital strategy for the TV. I thought, well, I'm building the TV 2.0 because the TV 1.0 is going to die sometime. I wouldn't say soon, but not very late. But I was wrong. I was wrong myself. I realized that I was wrong very early, because we definitely had a fantastic project. We brought all the contents of the TV to the net, so we let all the people to decide when they wanted to see their TV show or the TV series, the drama, everything. We had simulcast of many TV events and shows like the Olympics and many other things. We even had the premiere of some contents in the internet before the TV. I can tell you, it was pretty difficult to convince the TV guys of that, but we did it. And despite all that, we managed to bring even more audience to the TV, because the virality that was being created in internet was feeding back into the TV, because the people wanted to share into the TV all this experience. And for the press, you can see that all over the developed world, the old media brands, they still keep the most important positions in the rankings of internet. Here is the States, half of, well, you can see the colors very well, but this 95, it is the number of newspaper brands that are in the top 200 positions. So half of the 200 positions of the first positions of news and media are all newspapers. And here you have the numbers in Spain. All the yellow slots are all newspapers, minus the first one, El País, but all the rest are all newspapers. They are still in the big media. And it is not only a question of visits and page views, it's also a question of loyalty. In El País, for example, we do have a huge audience every day. We do have near 3 million navigators every day coming to visit us. Of these 3 million navigators, 50% come directly to our site, right in the address, which is amazing. I mean, I myself, I'm very lazy, and most of the times I don't write the address. I just put it in a search engine. Well, they write the address or they have in a favorite. And an additional 20% look for our brands, search for our brands in a search engine. And it is only the rest. Well, it's 30% is big, but it's much less than the other, that finds us in a social network or in a search engine. So that means there's a lot of people really looking for us, really searching for our brand because they want it. And why is that? Why, if the people now can access and do access to the content whenever they want, why, if they can choose the content they like, they can create their own menu, they can create their own experiences, why they go to the set menus of the big media? Because the big media, they still play a fundamental role as a social currency to live, to use, and live in a community. The people really like to watch and to read and to listen to the same things that many other people, many other of their fellow citizens are watching or reading or listening to, so that they can discuss about the same things at lunch or at the coffee machine of work. They want to share it when they are watching TV, and they want to tweet and share with their friends what they are watching. At the same time, they want to be able to vote for things that are related to their communities. They want to be able to demonstrate against things, and they do all this in a community. And for that, the size is important. If you share it with a huge number of people, it's different than if it is a content that you are using or you are accessing to alone or only with a small number of people. So this time the size matters as well. And there is another fundamental role of quality media that I think is even more important now than ever. And it is the selection, the filtering, the proving right from wrong. Precisely now that we have this avalanche of information from everywhere, we get information from TV, from the internet, from the radio, we get Twitter and Facebook and blogs. You have that everywhere. Then it is more important than ever that your trusted brands are giving you this selection, this filtering. As I say, they are proving this is right, this is wrong, this is important, this is not important, the explanation. This is what they, in the schools of journalism, call the gatekeeping. I think the gatekeeping is still very, very important. And that's what the quality media need to do now. That's how they must compete. They must compete not with page views or visits. They must compete with trust, with authority, with prescription. And doing that, and of course, with choice and trust, I think they will survive. That is the bad news for the gurus. Thank you very much.